And there's the other factor, which is, I think we saw last year, Jaylen Herz, when he's banged up, is not quite as effective. And one of the reasons I have felt, Brew,
he needs to run. Yeah.
Right. One of the reasons, listen, I'm not acting like he can't throw, and his deep ball, I said it earlier this week, it's a lot like when young Russell Wilson, the mobility plus the moon ball is, for him it's not as much of a moon ball, but the deep shots to A.J. Brown, Devontae are brilliant. But if he is really dealing with an ankle lower leg injury and is not going to run as much, or by running he aggravated it, that is a bit of a concern when Micah Parsons is going to be back.
Oh.
So that's the other piece of it, KW. Listen, I'm not
because Micah was there when New Orleans put 44 on him.
No doubt about it. And I'm not acting
well
like
rested.
the Cowboys are great, and the Cowboys with Cooper Rush are obviously far from great. But it is noteworthy to me that a guy that I think we all think is one of the 10 best players in the whole league is going to be back on this team this week. So that matters at least a little.
Okay. We got to put some things to bed, okay? Because this is becoming a whole bunch of nonsense, right? Okay, so Jaylen Herz is banged up, and now all of a sudden he can't, we saw last year when he's banged up, he can't play. Okay. First off, yes, he was banged up. When you're banged up, that's obviously going to inhibit you. He was banged up in the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure he balled out there. Did he not? Yeah, he did. So this idea that it's kind of this all or nothing thing with Jaylen Herz just doesn't make any sense. Last year, it is so obvious that coordinating was an absolute fundamental fatal flaw for the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay? We can absolutely just throw last year out. It is night and day. And what has changed? The coordinating. And obviously adding Saquon Barkley. So we can just stop and act like Jaylen Herz had this really bad year last year. And quite frankly, it wasn't even this awful year. It obviously wasn't great relative to what he had been able to do the year before. But it's not like it was like out of the NFL bad. Oh my God, is he even going to be a starter? But yes, he was banged up. And he had a coordinator. Whether it was a coordinating issue, and I know there's some debate about this, or Nick Sirianni had too much impact on the offense, it doesn't even matter. Because we know Kellen Moore now significantly runs this offense, even if Nick Sirianni does kind of step in here and there. It's still obvious that the Eagles understand how to maximize the offense as a whole, right? That they know how to establish the run. They know how to rely on the run, how to use Saquon, how to have Jaylen Herz not throw the ball 35, 40 times, right? It's very strategic designed runs rather than design run. This sounds good. Let's do this now. Sure, we'll try this. Right? Jaylen Herz is significantly better with pressure now against the blitz. He didn't just magically be bad last year and be good this year. Oh, I didn't know how to. I just couldn't handle the blitz last year, but now I can. It's coordinating. Okay? It's having a legitimate offensive mind put you in a position to succeed. That is what they've been doing with Jaylen Herz. So, I mean, like, we got to just stop with the nonsense of last year. Who cares at this point now? I mean, seriously, who cares what happened in 2023? My God, it does not matter. None of that matters. So, can the Cowboys upset on the board? I mean, technically, right? Technically, that the Philadelphia Eagles could go to the Dallas Cowboys and it could be a mass blackout, right? The power could go out. Jerry Jones could be, going at halftime in the middle of the field and start dancing, right? And start singing a song, right? Technically, that's all possible, right? Because technically it is. So if we want to play that game, is it possible? Sure. Is it likely? Is it going to happen? No. And if it does, it means that the Philadelphia Eagles are not a good team. I'll put it right then and there. I'll make it very clear. If the Philadelphia Eagles lose this game, they have zero chance at winning a Super Bowl. Zero chance. I don't care how banged up they are. They would have zero chance at winning a Super Bowl. Because if Jaylen Herz is that legitimately banged up where he can't play, and then he plays, well, then that's a coach, like that's just that's a mess, right? And I don't know within this franchise who actually would make the final say in that, if it is one of those like in between situations, if it actually is Sirianni, if it would be more on Jaylen Herz, if it would be on Howie Roseman. Like honestly, I don't know who would actually officially make that. And so again, I'm not going to try to predict how hurt Jaylen Herz is or isn't. I'm not into that, quite frankly. So I'm just going to go with the idea that he is going to be healthy enough to be able to play and not be inhibited in any, concrete, demonstrative way. And so if all that stuff is true, the Philadelphia Eagles have no business losing this game. And I want to be very clear. If they lose this game, we can't chalk it up to a one-off or whatever it may be. It would be that the Philadelphia Eagles fundamentally cannot win the Super Bowl and quite frankly probably can't even make it to an NFC Championship game. Everyone's allowed to drop an egg and do all that type of stuff, but not when you're playing division, not when you're playing a backup quarterback, right? Not against the Dallas Cowboys. It's just not possible, quite frankly. Especially the wins, and it's one thing if the Philadelphia Eagles have been playing a lot of tough teams lately, and it's been grueling, and they're traveling all over the world, right? They got a game in London, and then they got to go to LA, and then they're back in Cincinnati, and now they got to go to Dallas. Then we could say, okay, you know what? This team's probably a little fried, a little overworked, under-rested, right? Like you could explain that type of situation away. That would not be this situation, right? So there would be truly zero excuse for it. If they lost this game, then the only chance that they would have at making the NFC Championship game is if they somehow played like the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels is injured. He's not playing, right? It's Marcus Mariota. And then they got to play the Seattle Seahawks or something, right? Like then you could be like, okay, maybe they could, win a couple playoff games and find their way to the NFC Championship game. But like they wouldn't be able to beat the Lions. They wouldn't be able to beat the Packers, the 49ers, right? And so I believe that the Philadelphia Eagles are indeed a top team in the NFL. Again, I'm not saying that they're top 2 or anything like that. I'm not interested in trying to parse that out right now. But if they are a legitimate contender and a team that people have to worry about, that it's not like, oh, great, we get to play the Eagles. Yeah, we got to play the Eagles. We can roll them. We can beat them easy. Then the Philadelphia Eagles dominate this game, right? It should be a game. And again, I understand things got technically a little dicey against the Jags last week. That game was misleading for a few reasons. Yeah, we could point out to some of the issues of Nick Sirianni, but also that fumble that should have never been a fumble with Saquon, which then immediately turned into 8 points, right? That ended up being at a minimum, an 11-point swing, maybe even more, maybe an even 15-point swing because the Eagles were driving, they were rolling. So it's not hard to imagine that they would have been able to put up at least a field goal or a touchdown, right? Not hard to imagine, but instead, it was an automatic 8 points. So the Eagles have been on one. Just look at the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Baltimore Ravens, okay? Who played the better game? The Baltimore Ravens, who a lot of people think are a top team in the NFL, or the Philadelphia Eagles? Who played the Bengals better? The answer is obvious, the Philadelphia Eagles. Look what Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow did to the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, it was insane. Absolutely insane. And it came down to the wire again. Needed Lamar Jackson heroics to score touchdown, 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 and 2-point conversion to be able to win that game. That's what it all came down to. And the Eagles won that game like easy. I mean, they showed that they were in control the entire game. So to me, that signals, and again, you can't ever just put too much stock in just one singular game. So when you're looking at things as a whole, and you're always trying to like figure stuff out, right? It's not always like, well, this team beat that team, and then that team lost to that team, therefore they're better than that team. Like, that's not the argument that I'm making either. It's just all useful information to kind of digest. But what it signals to me is that the Philadelphia Eagles are significantly more competent than they're given credit for. They were injured, so they had a really bad loss against the Bucs, and they had a tough coaching loss or player drop loss, however you want to look at it. And that together, then playing the Browns, that was like not this exciting, dominant, we win game. Although, look what happened to, again, the Baltimore Ravens losing to the Browns, albeit different quarterback. The Philadelphia Eagles have this kind of cloak, especially considering last year and how it all unfolded, that they're kind of good. They got a good roster, but there's a mess. Do people like Sirianni? How do the players feel about it? The media, right? Like there's this haze over the Philadelphia Eagles that they're not resilient, that they're not well run. I mean, they're obviously well run, but in terms of like the team itself, right? Not like, ownership and GM, but just like the actual team itself, the coaching staff, all of that, right? And I don't see that being the case. Because if that was the case, they lose to the Bengals. They lose to the Jags. Instead, we have like insane highlight reel catches, insane highlight reel, backwards hurdles, whatever we're calling it, right? Big time interception against Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, right? So the Philadelphia Eagles absolutely, positively should take care of business against the Dallas Cowboys. And if they don't, there are some serious issues. And CD said this, we know what Coop can do. Confidence is still there. Well, Philadelphia Eagles beat Coop, okay? When he played, when he was going on that big run and people were like, oh my God, who's this guy? Is there going to be a quarterback controversy? The Philadelphia Eagles said, no, you best of luck. Best of luck with that. You go have at it. So he shouldn't be comfortable the whole game. The Philadelphia Eagles offense should be comfortable the whole game and is an upset on the board. Technically, because we live on planet Earth, right? So boards exist. Is it likely? Absolutely not. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? I came in hot. If the Cowboys end up winning, you guys are going to come at me. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think it's a possibility that the Philadelphia Eagles do not win this game and that the Cowboys upset? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.